Welcome to the One Mic, One Voice show, Building the Collective Conscience, a show that's created to give space where your voice, ideas, and informed opinions can be heard, appreciated, and debated. Folks, I'm doing something a little different on the One Mic, One Voice show. I have launched what I would like to title Through the Eyes of Black Men. And I think, one of the most written about, scrutinized, stereotyped, demonized, and completely misunderstood are Black men. Throughout human history, and especially in the United States, Black men have been systematically targeted, oppressed, pushed to the margins of our society. Yet, very few people are aware of the struggles, traumas, fears, and accomplishments of Black men. And I am here to tell their story. And before we get started, as always, I want you guys to go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe, and hit that notification button. So you definitely want to be hearing from all of these Black men telling their story. And I'm telling you, I'm excited because this is the inaugural one, the first. You don't get in front of the first. That's impossible. And I have with me my good brother, Richard Gaines, and his life story and the challenges that he has. Um, we want to talk about it. And brother Richard, welcome to the One Mic, One Voice show. How you doing today?
Oh, brother, it's an honor, brother. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, talking to you, and just being picked to be the first. It's not a lot of things we be the first of. That's good as Black men in America, but we trying to change that narrative here. Yeah, thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And I'm honored to have you. Let's talk a little bit about, where were you born?
I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, California, small town in the Bay
Okay.
Area, Golden State. It's really Um, I love it. I love it. It's all about community. So yeah, Pittsburgh, California, and then just expanded the whole Bay Area. Just always influences. When you think about
So
when you think about California, you think about either Northern California or Southern California. Period. Go ahead, brother.
absolutely. So you were raised in Cali.
I was raised in Cali. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. How was that experience, man? Because we hear so much about Oakland, we hear so much about Compton, we hear so much about all of these places. So, what was that like for you growing up, man, in Cali?
Man, it's hard. It's hard to like live up to the stereotypes because you hear a lot of things, but on the ground is always different. I'll say that a lot of the things about I was born in 1976, so I really did my growing up in the 80s, and throughout America, if you understand what's going on in the 80s, cocaine and crack, hit the scene. So that was our experiences, and yeah, that those experiences led me down down that trail of crime and punishment. So I say I was born and raised in California. I should say I was born and raised in California institutions because I spent a lot of
Mm.
time in the institution. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get into that and whatever detail you want to give because what I want folks to understand, we want to have real conversations. And I know there are brothers that are like you that um, have come through your challenges successfully out here in the community doing great things. And then there are brothers that are caught up and
Yes, sir.
need that opportunity, right, to change and to move their lives in the right direction. Did you have brothers, sisters?
Yes, sir. I was the only boy for a long time. I found out that I had a brother while I was incarcerated. So
Oh
I was a
wow.
yeah, I was a so my mother had an older sister. I had an older sister. My mother had a daughter. Her name was Rakisha. She rest in peace. And I had a baby sister. Her name is Michelle.
Okay.
So yeah, I was the only boy in the family for a long time. And then my father,
Mm.
he had like daughters. I got like 4 or 5 daughters from my father. I mean, sisters from my father, and one brother. So for a
Oh
while, I was the
wow.
only boy. So it's crazy around all these girls. But thank God though, because they give us so much game, man. I mean, they taught me so much, and I learned
Yeah.
from the fellas
Yeah.
when I went to the street. Yeah,
I understand. You got that nurturing from
yeah,
from the women in the house, and
Yes.
in the streets speak a different language. And but let me just ask you a question, man, because I'm gonna put this out there. My dad was in the house, but he wasn't really in the house. You
Mm-hmm.
follow me? He was there, but you couldn't engage, you couldn't connect, man. What was your father in your life?
So my father is so that's a story. Like I hope I don't get emotional telling the story. My father,
No, go
it's a
ahead.
trip you said that first let's deal with that thing that you said about your father was in the house, but he wasn't in the house. So that's about like that's has a lot to do with our mission today, with like what we're doing today. Maybe we'll double back to that, but that's a really,
Yes.
really, really, really huge thing, though, right? We think for us who didn't have fathers in the home, like my father, I could say my father was in the home up until I had a tragedy, domestic violence, like changed the trajectory of my life. My father ended up shooting my mother, several times, and
Mm,
yeah, that's the kind of trauma that young young African American Richard had to live with and learn how to process that
yeah.
without the proper tools. So uh, that whole father and male role model and mentor is huge. So what we're doing today is like we want to lend a hand to that. So uh, yeah, my father, that's like a difficult subject, so, because he was known as a sperm donor for a long time until I came into myself, because I never knew what a father was.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, it's man, that's a can of worms, right? That we
Man,
can open up. Black boys without their fathers, man. And
man,
like I say, even the presence of a father does not always mean engagement from a father. And I
absolutely.
think you brought up trauma, and there's so much trauma in the black community, not just with
Mm.
black men and black women and so forth. So man, how do you deal with the trauma, man? How did you process through this? Take us through the early stages of that trauma and where you are today and how you process through that.
Great, great, great question. I tell you how I processed it and or how I got through it and I didn't know what it was. Like a lot of times, even a word like trauma, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you don't even know what that is, even though you're experiencing it, right? I tell you, I hope I don't get emotional in this conversation, but when you think about how I got through it, it's a word. Like I found a word. We all know
Mm,
it today, but it was resilience. It was
mm,
resilience. It's this human resilience that we have that's in there somewhere that we don't know. So just taking the steps through I didn't land on resilience. Trust me. I didn't land on the resilience instantly, but what happens is when you experience that trauma, you don't know what it is and you don't know how to process that. What I did, my choice or my tools was to stuff it in my pocket like it didn't happen. You got to understand this happened inside my home between the most intimate people in my life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So me going through life, I did not want to look at that. Come on, man.
yeah.
Who want to know that uh most young boys, their dad is their heroes, right? And their mom is their sheroes. So if somebody hurt their mama and you the man child, you supposed to be willing to protect her. So it's just a lot of trauma that's still going on today, right? I'm able to heal through it, but I never talked about it. I never addressed it. So that's why I'm able to process it the way I'm able to process it today in a way that's about resilience, like understanding it. It's hurt. It's pain there, because like my life didn't have to go the way that it went. If like these tools and these mechanisms and these people was in place, it didn't have to be. Nothing special, just mentors, just people that can talk about, hey man, I heard about something happens to your family, man. What's going on? You need to talk about this stuff. You need some help, like just insight that we supposed to have in our community. Back in the days, the community raises our people, man. So uh my tools was I didn't have tools. I just, went through life like it didn't happen. I kind of numb myself, like the feelings and emotion that I have today. I didn't have that, it was numb. Hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
And I gravitated to the wrong thing. So eventually what happens is, what I tell people is that I learned how to communicate with violence at a very, very young age, and I don't recommend that. I There's other tools, but me, uh, not having a way to process that, going through life, numb and not having the right resources, I gravitated to the only resources that we know, the streets, and hustling, and then I learned how to communicate with violence. That violence ends up in crime and punishment. I want everybody to understand that is nobody wins that game. Everybody loses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, very, very, very powerful, brother. And man, man, with that, see, in our community, it's very difficult for us to talk about trauma because I think we equate our, being vulnerable and sharing our feelings with weakness.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
and especially when you talk about the streets, right? I mean that that's a conversation you can't even have, with your brothers when you trying to get out there and do your damage, right?
Man,
So
man.
it's but sharing these stories though, it lets us know that we are not alone. You see, brother, your story, although it is unique, it is similar to us, right?
Yes, sir.
And in the power of your story, man. So I want to get into what you do, but well, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's get into, because you have taken all of that pain, right? And you have transformed it, right, into something that is not just empowering and positive for you, but you giving it out. And so talk about, what you have established, what your vision is, and how folks can participate.
Thank you so much, brother. Man, and I apologize. There's emotions. It jumps up.
No,
But
no,
what we're
no.
talking about,
Listen.
yes, yes,
Hold
sir.
on, bro. Let me say this. No, no, no. We are emotional. That's what people need to understand about real black men. We have emotions just like everybody else. We shed tears. We break down. We are depressed. We have anxiety. We are in the valley, but we're also on the mountaintop. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so never apologize about the beauty of your emotions, because that is who you are, and the fact that you share that with me, that matters to me. So
Thank you, brother.
talk about your organization, bro.
Thank you, brother. So I'll just say, strong men cry. The whole world need to know that strong men cry. And like, sometimes like we don't like doing it on camera though. You know what I'm saying? We like to do it in
I
private. But
understand.
so
All right.
this organization is called Returning Citizen Association. And it goes directly to what you was talking about this trauma and this mental health in the black community. Because I feel like I was traumatized as a young kid, didn't know what to do with that. That eventually I put myself on a path. I won't blame anybody or anything, but we all know that the circumstances has a lot to do with uh like our choices and our reality, like what we got to choose, what we got to choose from, right? So uh mental health was a thing that it never was talked about. So I said, throughout my ordeal, I spent 24 years. I was arrested and convicted for a homicide when I was 18 years old. So I end up remember what I said, I learned how to communicate with violence very, very well, right? I end up landing myself in prison, and my life was pretty much over. Everybody that knew me was like my life was over, except for a few people, you know, and the God that I
All right.
believe in, Jesus
Mm.
Christ, right? I was still messed up in the head, because this lifestyle, this criminal hustling, street lifestyle is a mentality. It's not just one choice. It's really a mentality. There was one choice that I choose that I choose that took another man's life, but I tell you, it was really a mindset. Because when I went to prison, the mindset didn't stop. So things started working. I got my GED. My GED changed the whole trajectory of my life. I knew that right then and there. Yeah.
All right.
I
That's all
knew
right.
that this day was possible just by a little bitty GED.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anybody understand what uh, completion mean. Like when you never completed nothing in your life before,
Yeah.
but things that didn't matter. So, finally, once I got my GED, it was like, oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Wait till they get a load of me.
Right.
you know, like I had no idea all of this was possible, but I tell you what, there's my spirit knew it, so I just started working, I started working, educating myself, asking for help. That is the
Yeah.
best tool that any black man can take. Ask for help and don't get mad when somebody says no. Don't get mad when you get rejected. Uh, I said, because no was my trigger. Like when I was younger, growing up, because I didn't have my father and my mother I might end up being raised by my grandmother. Uh, and she the one like showed me the way, like really, 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 like, even though like I still was kind of already traumatized, she gave it to me, sitting in her bed,
Yeah.
reading that Bible at the foot of her bed and just telling me things that she say little sayings like this. You know what partners do? Partners eat and run rabbits. Oh, Arkansas lady. And you have to tell her what, Granny,
Yeah.
what that mean? And she tell you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
partner ain't nothing. What is it? We talking about my partner. You know what they do to you? They eat and
Mm.
run rabbits. And like some real stuff. So
Yeah.
once I started educating myself, like all of that teaching started coming back to me. I started understanding, hey man, yeah, you made these choices. You can't like deny that, but you have a chance to, leave a better legacy though, right? And I had daughters though, so I had daughters even when I was 18. I had my second daughter was born. I think I don't know how you say this. So my first daughter was born when I was 18, but I went to prison and my youngest daughter was in her mother's womb. So yeah, what happened was,
Mm.
so it's a real tragedy all the way around, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from my father's existence or his situation with my mother, I said I didn't want to be like him. But what I end up doing, not even knowing, is I end up kind of like being like him by my absence of my children's life. So that hit me heavy, and that made me do all the work that I had to do on the inside to like transform this. I started writing. Well, I got a college degree in prison, and that GED was
Okay.
spurred that kind of growth and development. And by me getting that college
Yes.
degree, and I started writing books. And I wrote a book. I wrote a book and I published one book, and that, from there, like we can say it's history because we ended up starting. Me and my wife today we ended up starting a publishing company, helping other brothers publish
Okay.
their book in there, and just like
Yeah.
the whole service thing happened for me. Like that's how it normally happens when I talk to people that's successful, and when I talk to you, brother, is it like about that service thing, right?
Yeah.
When you helping other people, when you doing something for other people, that thing in turn happens for you. And when I look up, we built this organization. It's called Returning Citizen Association. What we do is we have weekly non-clinical mental health support groups every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's all about helping system impacted people and their families. Like I've been in prison, but my family is system impacted. Like they've been in prison with me, even though they
Mm.
never spent a day there, right? So we just talk
Yes.
about this stuff and try to build on our resilience. Right now, we got this thing called Building Resilience Summit, where it's a series. So every month we give this 2-hour talk, three speakers, and they tell these stories about how they overcame and how we can do this thing, though, right? If I could overcome that 24 years in prison, be able to be out here in the world, taking care of my family and like trying to help somebody else, like tell me what some college student that just failed a grade think that it's over for them, how they can bounce back from that. Or somebody that just lost their job that think that, oh, it's over, I'm 40, ain't nobody gonna hire me. Man, let me tell you about some of these people that, that overcame. Yeah. So anyway,
Mm.
but don't get me started because
Yeah.
I'll go crazy about
No.
this
No. No.
organization. Man,
Yeah. No.
I love them.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, and we will definitely in the write up to this show, we will have all of that information so people can reach out and connect with you as
Okay.
well. Man, you know, I, I applaud you
Thank you, brother.
for taking a tragedy and turning it into something that not only blesses yourself, but your family and everyone you encounter. This organization,
Yes,
and
sir.
I happen to know a little bit about it, and everything I know about it, I love it.
Thank you,
And
brother.
I know it's going to continue to grow and expand because I know the passion that you have within yourself.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's take a moment here in our closing minutes. What would you say? And I know you do this all the time, so you know I ain't putting you on the spot at all. But what would you say to young brothers, man, and the challenges that we face today, man? What advice would you give? Because it is so needed, man. Our young men are lost.
Man,
Let's just
brother.
be honest, man. It's just, I mean, when you don't have what you talked about earlier, the mentor and that male figure and that female figure in your life
Yes, sir.
as a village, as a community, and you are all alone and you are a young black boy trying to navigate this world, man. I'm like you. I'm educated, and it's difficult to navigate this world, man.
Yes,
So,
sir.
what do we say to these young brothers, man?
Man, it's difficult because in this world, what I learned is that we wanted it now. You know, like when I was a young teenager, I wanted it now. Once I had my eyes, I read a quote in prison that says, "A mind expanded with a new idea can never return to the same size again." Just
Mm,
take a moment and think
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
A mind
yeah,
expanded
yeah,
with some new idea, something just hits you. So that's how it was in the streets. Once you get that eye opening, it's hard to close that. And so we have to go back to understanding about the process. We have to understand about the process and we have to connect the dots. And the best way for me to do it is make a community, right? Make a community of people with different experiences, different levels of experience, and having these conversations and bringing our young people in there so they can pull these little pieces out of it. Because just trying to tell somebody what to do, that's not our thing. Like our thing is saying,
yeah.
listen, look at us. We the guys that we how can I say this? Like some of the guys in my group was the guys that I wanted to be like. Now, in my transition, they want to be like me.
No doubt.
but but in reality, I still want to be like them because they've been home longer than me. They've been taking care of business longer than me. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna do it differently. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm
yeah,
home 20 years, brother, it's some things that I
yeah,
want to be accomplished. It's some young men and young women, like you said, we want them to come and understand that it's a process to this thing, man. You're not gonna
yeah,
have the Bentley yesterday or next week. Like we gotta
yeah.
put in the work and we gotta build in these tools. And one of the best tools I read a quote again, a quote from Nelson Mandela. He said, the best tool you can use to change the world is education. And we have to educate our young men and women. Like, if we not educated but on hip hop, bruh, we losing. That's why, like, in my
Yeah.
mind, in my younger days, I was only going around the perimeters, the neighborhood, man. It was a whole world out
Yeah.
here. Man, I've been
Exactly.
using my password, man, my passport, man, because I need to get
Yeah.
my mind expanded so that I can come back and try to, uh, help these people or help us develop these tools that because we're not gonna be here forever. Like that's the thing
No
I
doubt.
keep thinking about. I think about my grandkids. I'm
Yeah.
like, we're not gonna be here forever, and if nobody ain't teaching them things, then they gonna pick up on the same things we picked up on. So yeah, man. I
That's
mean,
that's No, go ahead, brother.
I just think we all got a role to play. And our role in our Returning Citizen Association is getting our people together and just having our conversation, doing our task. Right now, it's building resilience. Last year, it was rebuilding lives. The year before that, it was turning liabilities into assets. We're gonna keep on changing these narratives, though. We call ourselves myth debunkers, man. People don't think that, and one of the things about this Building Resilience Summit is that we want to bring this national, though. We know that resilience is needed in America. especially as a community. But I don't want to make it exclusive to Black people. But yeah, Black people, come on, y'all. We know we need that
Yeah.
resilience, though, bouncing back
Yeah.
from the pandemic or whatever else that we got going on, though. So yeah, I told you, brother, I go crazy about this organization, man.
No, yeah, no, that's wonderful, and I love you. I love how you put that. This is universal. Trauma is
Yeah.
universal, and
Mhm.
and you can grow up in an affluent community and be in a house full of trauma. Okay, just because you got the Bentley outside or this that doesn't erase who raising you or who you
Mm,
might be exposed to, right?
mm.
So we know that this crosses all boundaries, but especially in minority communities as well as the LGBTQ plus community.
Yes, sir.
There's man, we are a people of
They
trauma.
need resilience
As
too. They need resilience
Yeah,
too.
they
When they
do,
get
man.
cut down, they need to come get some resilience training, some resilience talks. Get
Yeah,
motivated, and
when
then
is your next one? When is your
oh,
next
thank
one?
you. So our next one is going to be this Saturday, October 14th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 4 p.m. But I think it's probably if people is not able to get a hold to a ticket for that one, we got another one planned for November. I think it's November the 9th, which I think is Veteran Day. Whatever Veteran
Okay,
Day
okay.
is.
And
That's
if
going to
they
be
want to
Act 3.
register for that, okay, if they want to register
Eventbrite.
for that, how do they do that?
Go
Eventbrite.
to Eventbrite, look up Building Resilience Summit Act 2, Unleashing Your Inner Strength, or you can go to our website. Like we should put our website link in your chat, and
Absolutely, yes.
Return to
We
Citizen
will in the
Association, we have it on our.
Yeah,
Go ahead, brother. I'm
and
sorry.
in the description of the show, we will definitely have all of that information. Man, I tell you, this has been a
Mm,
exciting conversation. It's been a truthful conversation. It's been one that I'm touched by, and one that I'm not, and I'm also encouraged. You know what I mean? I'm very encouraged by your life and the work that you're doing, and for taking some time out of your busy schedule to stop here in the One Mic One Voice studio and have this very serious conversation. And I know a lot of brothers are going to be encouraged by this, brother Rick. Man, thank you so much for being here.
you're welcome, brother. I just want y'all to know, like, if we can overcome this stuff, man, if I can overcome this stuff, man, I know you went through some stuff. I don't know if it's been worse as me. I don't know if it's worse than me. But I'm saying we got this resilience in us. Our ancestors gave it to us, man. And we just gotta tap into it. And then once we tap into it and we overcome our stuff, now let's pull somebody else up, you know?
Absolutely, brother. Beautifully
Yes, sir.
said. Ralph Ellison said, "I am invisible. Understand simply because people refuse to see me. Like the
Mm,
bodiless heads you see sometimes in circuit sideshows, it is as though I have been surrounded by mirrors of hard, distorting glass.
mm,
When they approach me, they see only my surroundings, themselves, or fragments of their imagination. Indeed, everything and anything except for me. History will
mm.
speak of us. Somewhere in the distant future, a scribe will reach down deep into the archives of our time, and what will she find? Will she find out that we overcame our differences? Will she find out that we solved nothing and remain a divided people? Yes, history will speak of us.